Hello everybody, welcome back to Sparky Built, and on today's episode we're going to be building a bottom shelf for our plasma table. Went and picked up some 2x2 tubing and some expanded metal, and we're going to build a shelf. Josh is inside designing some flanges, and what we're going to do is I'll come in and show you. So for my part of the rack we're building on the plasma table, I'm going to be designing a couple feet, or not feet, but brackets to mount the 2x2 to the frame of the table, so we don't have to weld to the table or screw to it directly. I did this earlier. I made these brackets here with, they'll just fit around our 2-inch tubing. We were going to use U-bolts where we went. They didn't have any U-bolts, so we just picked up some 3-inch carriage bolts instead. So what I'm going to do is make a second set of these with the square for the carriage bolt, and without the insert. I did the insert so we could put the tubing flush into it and have the tubing perfectly centered and squared on every flange. So I'm going to insert a 3/8 nut from the McMaster car files, just to make sure that it fits without hitting our tubing. Basically, I've got that inserted here, but I've got that inserted here. I'm going to go over to our alignment, and I'm going to align backside center of this nut. Which one is it? There we go. So the backside center of the nut with this. Okay. When I do that, you can see it, all I did was just align it dead center on that hole, and I just wanted to check clearance to make sure that I was going to be able to make this fit. So basically what I'll do is when we put the tubing in, I'm just going to weld on our straight edges and probably leave the corners unwelded. That way I don't have any clearancing issues with the nuts. Still be able to get a wrench on it, hopefully turn it without issue. So now that I've checked that, I can delete that. I'm not really worried about that too much. So these, we'll cut out 4 of those. And I'm going to make 4 more. So now we've got 4 more. I'm going to go on to each one of these, and we're going to create a sketch. We're going to throw that back in, and then we're going to do center point rectangle, and this is where the carriage bolt comes in. 037, 037. So 037 is a tight fit, so what I'll probably do is go like 039, 04. Yeah, I'll probably just go 04. So first we're going to extrude this, and this. I get 0.125 and fill in my hole. So now we're going to create another sketch on the face of this, and I'm going to bring this sketch back up. Now we'll do our center point rectangle. I'm going to use the center of the circles as a reference, 0.4, 0.4. And you could do a rectangular pattern if you wanted, but it's just as fast on this small, just to go in and make the other 0.4, 0.4 here. Okay, sketch. Turn that one off, and then now we're going to grab these 3 negative, cut, beautiful. All right, now we'll copy this and make 3 more of them. Alright, so here's what we've got. We've got our 4 outside plates. We'll put those outside so the carriage bolt head is flush on the outside and the bolt will stick in towards the shelf. I think, yeah, that part's done. We'll say 2-inch tubing, just whatever, 2-inch tubing bracket. Save. Now we're going to go over to manufacture. We're going to tell it to cut. Select our tool. Select our contours. Okay, go over to a 90-degree lead in. I'll leave my distance the same. Let's see what it does. And then I like to go through and just double check that you see everything. We've got 1 warning. We're good. Everything's there. So now that we've done that, we can tell it to post-process. Save it as 2-inch, what do we say, tubing bracket. Make sure all your settings are good. And post. It's my fault. It went to, we'll see. I tried to do it to the wrong location for 1. And I didn't catch it. Now, I'll put forward. That's correct. 2-inch. Okay. Alright, that's what. So we're going to save this on a thumb drive and take it out to our cutting table now.
Well, let's go 58.5.
Okay. 58.5, because they're going to sit into that. You see what I'm saying?
We'll have to do the hose adapter that we can just plug on the end of the table.
Justin's got one of those. Oh, I know.
Josh has already designed the flanges, and we've got the 14 gauge loaded up, and we picked up some 2x2 tubing and some corrugated steel.
Expanded metal?
And we picked up some 2x2 tubing and some expanded metal, and I'm gonna go pull that out of the truck, get that cut while Josh is cutting the flanges, and we'll get it welded together and installed.
We're gonna set the origin first and then 0 that. All right, yeah, so got the plate loaded. You probably saw me back there struggling. I just set this in the program, set an origin on it. All you gotta do is hit set program origin, click where you want it to start, and then I moved my machine over where I wanted and 0 the axes. And now I'm just gonna make sure, like I always do, that I run to every edge of the program and make sure that we clear everything. Kind of give the torch a good run around. Make sure that it is moving good. And I'm gonna bump my amperage back down because I was trying to cut aluminum. Okay. Got my amperage set. We're doing this out of some 14 gauge plate steel. So I typically run around 28 amps on this titanium plasma cutter. All right, here we go. That's gonna be a big negative. Bad consumable. So now all I'm gonna do is just, for my mind, I could just tell it to start again, but I always like to go back to my 0 point just in case anything happens, and then tell it to start again, because I've had it go crazy a couple times and it's still not doing it. Huh. Oh, I'm an idiot, guys. So the consumable was probably bad, but it probably would have cut. But like always, when I'm loading plate, I usually clamp the clamp onto the frame of the machine to get it out of the way, and I forgot to move it back to the plate. That's only like the 3rd time in the last week. But the good news is I know it'll cut for certain this time. You ready? 3rd time's the charm, right? Here we go. Look at that. I'm gonna go stand by the machine. I always like to be able to pick out the parts if they flop up or anything like that. So we've got our steel dialed in. I mean, minimal slag on there. It's ready to go right on the machine. I don't know if you guys could hear me a minute ago, so I'll say it again. But on 14 gauge, we do a lot of that in 1/8 inch, so we've got it pretty dialed in. I mean, it's no cleanup. I gotta look. It's a little tight fit here. I was saying I was gonna redesign that, but I'm gonna check clearances and see if I can't just clean these up a little bit and then slide it onto the tube like I was wanting to do. If that's the case, cool. If not, I'll go design a couple more and we'll cut them out again. The tubing is 2 inches on the money.
Yep.
This is just a nugget under 2. I think we can probably clean those up.
Okay.
We'll try that first.
Yeah.
There you go. So when we were designing it, we oversized these holes just a hair, and the reason why is because when you're cutting on these plasma cutters, you might not be able to see it with the naked eye, but a lot of times they'll leave kind of an angled cut. So I think we went pretty good. It's got a little bit of play in there, so you don't have to beat it in with the hammer, but it's still tight enough where it's not going anywhere. So we'll put those in. These plates are good to go. We're gonna massage the other ones to fit the tubing.
All right, so I'm going to cut the 2x2 tubing, and my long parts are going to be 58.5.
I wonder if somebody messed with the spring tension or something.
I don't know, but that's on. As soon as it hit this point, it was like.
But then that last part
Yeah.
takes longer than usual. Yeah, it's, I mean. Okay, so I got a piece of tubing from Anthony. Now I get to do these guys.
Yeah, it is this right there.
Is it?
Yeah. Might even be able to just take the hammer and just kind of tap it on.
Okay.
I'm gonna get that little dead blow. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's money.
Awesome.
Fuck yeah.
all right, the reason for the squares was that. So as you can see, I can set it on my table. I can fit it perfectly centered, perfectly square, and perfectly flush every time. Now I'm gonna do that. That one can be tacked and welded on, and then we can do one on the other end. I think Anthony said he wanted to TIG weld this whole cabin.
That's fine. Not really, but hey. If you want some sloppy welds, I'll take care of it for you, okay?
Y'all saw me put this on a minute ago, right? That was slow. I figured out the trick. Whatever you're welding,
Yeah.
turn it to the next gauge up.
Okay. These my gloves? Where's your gloves at? Those are mine?
Those are yours.
Yeah.
Those are mine.
Okay.
Let me touch my gloves. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. Oh.
Maybe that high performance rotary air compressor we have?
Yes, two-stroke.
Sure.
That's beautiful. Now I've only got to do it a million more times. So clean this side up and then make sure that I put the flanges flat side and cut inside the same way. Just for aesthetic purposes, right?
Okay, so while Josh is welding up the frame, I'm gonna go grab the expanded metal and get that measured out, ready for cut. There's an expanded metal piece, and we're gonna lay this on the frame and get it welded up.
Perfect.
Huh?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we've got it all welded up. Now it's time to see if it fits. Probably should have checked that before now. If not, we'll just build a shelf off of it or something. Fuck it. Southeast.
I'm touching.
All right, so you saw me design the flanges. Anthony cut out the square tubing and the expanded metal. We got it all welded up on the table and everything, and now you've seen us put it on the table. Pretty simple. Once we got it all welded up and all that, everything was square. It was a good tight fit. We just popped it in place with a dead blow, threw some carriage bolts in it, and it's good to go. We've got our plasma sitting down there now. It's a good place. We can store some of our welding machines. We got our little catch bucket for our drip, but we can keep some of our consumables down there in a little tray. We can keep our welding machines down there and kind of keep everything in one place so we're not dragging it all over the shop. And what's cool is we put caster wheels on this thing the other day. Yeah. So now we can just unplug the cords and the hose, throw everything up on the rack, and we can roll this bad boy around. Let's see. I think that wheel over there is locked, Anthony.
It is.
Got it?
Yep.
So I'm unlocked here, you unlocked there. You ain't gotta go far because I'm still hooked up to a computer. Give me a little roll around so they can see what we got. Look at that smooth motion, fellers. Oh.
Yeah, smooth.
Don't move it. It's got water in the table.
No weight, no motion of the oceans.
Motion of the oceans. Next step for us is we are going to pipe in these two drains together and set a valve over at the end of the table. That way we can just hook a hose up to it. So we'll have a valve with a hose bib fitting. We'll just run a garden hose out the door and be able to drain the table so we can have some better upkeep and maintenance on this thing instead of letting the water sit in there. And
the laptop stand.
And then we have a laptop stand coming. We've already started building that. You'll see that in another video. We're just waiting on it back from powder coating, and then we'll get it mounted up and get that video up for you guys. We appreciate you hanging out with us today. Hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Beautiful.